Hello, depression sufferers. I've suffered from depression since about the age of 12. I've had many occurrences of major depression, and I am no stranger to it. I'm no stranger to going weeks without showering, being covered in dead skin, not leaving your bed, not being able to keep up with social commitments. Hygiene goes to shit. You lose all hope, and you don't know if you're even gonna make it these days. So, what if I told you there's a simple hack that could cure your depression? Would you believe me? Probably not. So, there are different kinds of depression. There is situational depression, and there is clinical depression. Clinical depression, I'll tell you how difficult it can be. So my mother is 66 years old with cancer, and she's able to get more done around the house than I am, and it's a very shameful feeling because I'm only 30 years young. And I'm in shape. I have no excuse to be lethargic and lazy and not being able to clean. So I have a hack for you, and you might not believe this. So I have some science to back it up. I'm not a pharmacist, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a scientist, but I am a drug nerd. I've been a drug nerd since a very young age. So while I was young, I had an addiction to a drug called dextromethorphan. Dextromethorphan is the active ingredient in cough syrup, and it's an antitussive, and yes, it is also a dissociative drug with addictive properties. And it's not a drug people typically enjoy. It can be a very uncomfortable experience, but when I was a teenager, there were a lot of things I wanted to escape from. So, a similar drug, this dissociative drug, is called ketamine. So, ketamine is now being used to treat suicidal thoughts and depression, something that acts rapidly. It requires multiple administrations and a lot of medical supervision, as it is, I can't remember the word, but it's somewhat psychoactive, and you can't drive, you can't drive after a ketamine infusion, but yes, this is not accessible to everybody. This is not accessible to everybody, and some people, they might be too scared to go to a psychiatrist, and we're losing too many people to suicide. We are losing too much of our time to depression. Our lives are short. We don't want to suffer this way. So I have an alternative option. So again, I am a drug nerd. I've tried every antidepressant out there, excluding Paxil and maybe a few others. I've done the atypicals, I've done nearly every SSRI, I've done nearly every SNRI, I've even done an NDRI, Wellbutrin. Wellbutrin is the only drug that has really helped me. So Wellbutrin helped me so much that I started taking it and I got rashes all over my body. And I started getting hives, but it cured my depression, and I was not going to go back to being a lump, being a blob in bed. And I kept taking it. I didn't care if I went into anaphylactic shock because I didn't have much stock in my life. Okay? So, in my research, I was thinking, well, ketamine infusions, how am I ever going to get a referral for that? And I thought to myself, as a drug nerd, what drug is similar to ketamine? The active ingredient in cough syrup. Okay? So, yes, I used to be addicted to it. I don't have any fear of addiction. I've done my time with that. It was actually the best drug to possibly get addicted to because you can only trip on it so many times until it stops affecting you. And it eventually stopped affecting you, ending my addiction, and it made me very sick of it. So, properties of ketamine that help with immediately clearing suicidal thoughts and depression. is this mechanism of action. So there's a neurotransmitter. Antidepressants, yeah, they work on serotonin, dopamine, norepinephrine. I always pronounce that one wrong, typically. And these medications generally are not effective. Sometimes you can get antipsychotics. There's also all types of drugs, but in my experience, trying nearly every single one of them, there's so much help there. Also, I've been through therapy. I've done CBT therapy, so I've worked on my thought processes, so it's easier to get out of a depression. So, the properties in ketamine that help to eliminate immediately the suicidal thoughts and depression, it is a glutamate blocker. Glutamate is a neurotransmitter. There is glutamate, which is an excitatory neurotransmitter that makes your brain go woo woo woo, and GABA, which is a neurotransmitter that makes you slow down and relax. So if you say pop a Xanax, that works on GABA, makes you relax. Or if you have a drink, GABA makes you relaxed. So GABA relaxes you, glutamate excites you. And excess glutamate, we've been discovering, causes depression. Not too little serotonin or anything like that, but glutamate. So it's being investigated in many new drugs coming out. So I realized that ketamine has properties of glutamate blocking, and it's an NMDA antagonist. I knew another drug that was like that. Dextromethorphan. The active ingredient in cough syrup is an antitussive. So I've experimented with this drug quite a lot. So I found this drug company called Axum, and they are actually producing a drug that combines Zyban, the thing that helps you quit smoking, or Wellbutrin, the antidepressant, with dextromethorphan. So what do you do when you're suicidal and you're desperate? It's easy to experiment a little bit, and it's a good thing I did. So what did I do? I was on Wellbutrin for a while. Wellbutrin increases the bioavailability of dextromethorphan in your body. I'm not totally sold on Axum's product, purely for the fact that I've had long-term relief of my depression from a single dose. I don't think it's necessary to take it every day, but I'm not a scientist. I'm not a pharmacist. I'm just, oh no. Okay, it's still recording. I'm just a drug nerd, okay? So what did I do? I know that if you take a certain dose, you gonna get high. It's not a comfortable high. Some people like it, some people get addicted. I did in high school. So I tried a dose of 90 milligrams. 90 milligrams, it was a little bit trippy, and it wasn't too much. It's a little bit like being drunk, but I realized I could go down to 60. So the best way I can measure them out, there's a bottle called Robitussin cough gels, and those only have dextromethorphan in it. So you do not want to take any medications. You want to read the active ingredients at the back and make sure there's nothing in there but dextromethorphan. So it'll say DM on it. Sometimes it'll say dry cough. The dose that you'll want to take is about 60 milligrams. You may experiment with this a little bit. Try not to do too much because you will get high. And that's it. We're not looking for an escape. We're looking for a blocking of the glutamate neurotransmitter. So I have taken this dose about 4 times over the period of a month and a half, and I went from a suicidal depression I was suffering from a year suicidal thoughts and intent for about a year and a half, and immediately after, the next day, I was my old self again. My depression has disappeared. I'm happy. I'm able to laugh. I'm able to have fun. I'm able to socialize. I have energy, and I would love to share my experience with you, and I hope that it can help you in some way. If you have any questions, please ask me. Um, Again, be safe. Make sure dextromethorphan is the only active ingredient. I would go for a dose of 60 milligrams. So this drug company might be charging a lot of money for this drug, and I don't think it's necessary, but I think this drug is going to help a lot of people. But if you're desperate, if you're as desperate as I am, give it a try. It's essentially double the dose that you would take for a cough, and DXM is not something that can kill you. You can take up to you can take over a gram of DXM and it's not going to kill you. It would basically be an anesthetic at that point. So there is no risk of things called Olney's lesions. That was debunked, and it's been safe in rats, and the drug company thinks it's okay to take it daily. So I'm going to say that it is completely safe, and it may cure your depression. It might bring a smile back to your face and a jump in your step, and I have no reason to lie. Maybe I'm a little ahead of the game here. But yeah, I looked up the combination of Wellbutrin and bupropion, and it's in clinical 3 trials. I don't want to wait that long, and it's simple. Go to your local pharmacy, and I pray your depression goes away, because I know the hell that is, and getting out of that depression is something that makes me cry every day. So good luck, and I wish you happiness.